if you are a One Piece cosplayer, or if you wore a One Piece t-shirt, or if you had some kind of outward memorabilia, anything that indicated you were a One Piece fan, and you also happened to be at MatsuriCon in Columbus, Ohio over not the past weekend, but the weekend there before it, you may have been approached by a guy that said, "Hey, you look like you like One Piece." And he handed you this greenish bluish card that had a little QR code on it, and when you scan the QR code, that brought you here to this channel. This is the first video I have shot, edited, and uploaded since MatsuriCon, but that was my dad. You have met my father, who I have mentioned a couple times on this channel. So, if that is how you found this channel, and you're the type to comment on videos, just type in "Hi Dad," "Hi Dad," just because I'm kind of curious to see how many people he did, because he gave out, I think, over 100 of that card to people. He just wanted me to get more subscribers. So, yeah, comment below "Hi Dad." For those of you who are already subscribed to this channel or did not meet that guy at the convention, hello Internet, I am the Hero of Julios. This is a One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1125, What Death Means. Okay, so this chapter, despite that happy opening about my dad, who I love, this is not a happy chapter as far as the ending goes. It's kind of wild. So the artwork this week is the continuation of Yamato's journey across Wano as the pilgrimage continues. There has been a snag in the rebuilding of Lord Odin's castle because Minatomo has gone missing. And of course, we all know Minatomo, the famous carpenter who had famous lines such as, "Who worked on this?" And when Frankie said, "I did," he said, "Well, it's great work." Yeah. He's also known as a relative of Minatomo, guy with the same name, from Windmill Village, the guy who could not resist the urge to fix a door when he sees it broken. This is the same guy who, after Higuma the Bear smashed down the front door of Makino's bar and mocked Shanks, the very next couple panels later, the door was already fixed. That's the quality work of the Minatomo family. The fact that he's missing is a big problem, though. He is the lead carpenter on the rebuilding of Odin's castle, and well, Yamato, you're kind of going through the Odin side quest saga, so yeah, get on that. Go save Minatomo. You stopped someone from getting mugged. Some children learned, or not mugged, abducted. Some children learned not to hate you because your dad's Kaido, and you have a boxed lunch from Suru, or maybe it was Osuru that made it. But yeah, so get on that. The chapter itself, though, starts with the Navy kind of recovering from the Joy Boy hockey burst. As they're all coming to, they see Kaku and Rob Lucci have returned. And they ask them for, status report, update, how are things going, but most importantly, what happened to Stussy? To which Rob Lucci responded, "I killed her." So this is why I wait for official translation, because the way the translation site I found when I read it a few days ago, they put it as Rob Lucci saying she was killed in action. The official translation says, "I killed her." What's interesting about that is there's only two ways that statement could make sense. Either, A, Stussy didn't listen when Kaku said "get out of here" before Lucci gets back, and Lucci actually did remove Stussy from life. Or, for the very first time ever, Rob Lucci showed mercy. Now, we understand that Rob Lucci is not exactly a friendly guy. In fact, when he found out Nero was too worthless to kill Frankie, he decided to take care of the job himself and remove Nero from the payroll, so to speak. I think that the image of that giant Itsumade bird has burned something in Rob Lucci's mind. The fact that Mars told Lucci, "I can't really be concerned about the bugs that are in my path. If Kaku gets stepped on, he gets stepped on." Lucci loves working for the world government because Lucci loves being an assassin. Lucci does not love being assassinated. Lucci does not love being the victim. And Lucci does not love losing his ability to do whatever he wants. Lucci likes his own freedom. In a strange, twisted way, he and Luffy are not so different. Just Luffy is way happier and way less bloodthirsty. As this conversation is going on, Saturn is meeting with the Vice Admirals, all of which are apologizing to him because, the Straw Hat crew got away, so did the Giants, Jewelry Bonnie got away. This is a complete failure. We had 9 Vice Admirals on this Buster Call. Almost twice as many Vice Admirals as are normally on a Buster Call. And we still didn't manage to eliminate the target. We shall head to Elbaf immediately. They will not escape the justice that is the world government. And Saturn tells him no. Saturn says, never mind Elbaf. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. Which either means Saturn is very confident that Luffy will not make it through Elbaf or not make it through the dangerous waters, even though he is with Elbafian giants. Or Saturn has other plans. The only real failure that happened here is that Vegapunk's message got through. And what's more ironic is it's the Iron Giant that was the reason Luffy managed to escape. And we get a little mini flashback of Saturn 200 years ago. Saturn tells the scientists of yesteryear to put the giant in storage. Put it somewhere, where we can research it, where we can study it, because this is the future of technology right here. And the scientists are very happy about it, but they are very worried because, they were given direct orders to dismantle it and get rid of it. I'm assuming by probably the other 4 elders. Saturn says he'll take full responsibility if this gets found out. Just start researching it. We then cut back to the present where Saturn, thinks to himself, that giant got up to help Straw Hat Luffy. It's the only time it's moved in 200 years. We still don't know why the giant moved 200 years ago, but what's really fascinating to me is, why did Saturn not have it dismantled? I can't, after everything he's done to Kuma, I can't see Saturn as a good guy. Unless what he did, because he gave Bonnie the age fruit. Maybe Saturn hoped Bonnie would learn of Nika. Maybe Saturn hoped Bonnie would use the power of the age fruit to become the next Joy Boy, or Joy Girl in this case, I guess. Come on. Really, really think about this. As a One Piece fan, Saturn, Kuma, we hate Saturn because of what he did to Kuma. Remember a time when we hated Kuma because of what he did to Luffy? What if Saturn has a reason? What if Saturn knows something, or knew something, because we'll get to that. What if Saturn knew something we didn't, and actually was setting things in motion, even if it hurt in the present? I might be thinking way too deep into it, but you got to admit that is kind of an interesting correlation here. As Saturn is telling them this, though, Doberman, Vice Admiral Doberman, he brings up an interesting point. Sir, if the greatest failure of the mission today was Vegapunk's message getting to the world, doesn't that, by proxy, mean you're admitting everything he said was true? This is immediately met by a vast amount of pain coursing through Doberman's body as Saturn kind of just glares at him, and then Doberman just convulses over in pain as the medical team starts running towards him. Again, bringing us right back to, okay, Saturn might just be evil. But again, that's going to tickle in the back of my head for a little bit. Okay, so moving on from there, we'll cut back to York, since she's not too far away from what's going on where we're at. She comes to after the big hockey burst and sees the island cloud machine kind of just chugging away. And it's chugging away. And it's chugging away. And she's trying to stop it because she realizes what's going on here. And she's like, oh, dang it. Gosh darn it. Oh, rootin' tootin' shootin' pootin'. It is... It's Edison. It's the work of Edison. He did get the Cloud machine going, and it did make Island Cloud for the Straw Hat crew to get away. But that wasn't Edison's plan. Edison's plan was to get the whole of Punk Records away. Enough Island Cloud underneath it to send it high into the sky. Even York admits, well, there it goes. A last middle finger from Edison, if you will. A farewell to York that now, even though she is wirelessly connected to it, they can't access it physically. Which means the brain of Vegapunk is safe, unless Uranus can shoot up as well as down. Because technically, we don't know what Uranus is yet. It might be a mortar, where like it can only shoot so far, like as an arc before it hits its target. Or it could be a satellite. We don't know. We know that Pluton is a ship. We know that Poseidon is a person. We don't know what Uranus is. And we're kind of just waiting on that. But the reason the island clouds are going isn't just because Edison put something in motion. It's because Edison is alive. Sort of. Same way Shaka is. Same way Pythagoras is. Same way Atlas is. They put themselves back together, literally. In this, not horrifying, but still, it's weird in a cute way. It's like ugly in a cute way, kind of like Frankenstein setting of all the different Vegapunks put together, or at least the four making up this one. You got Edison's head, Shaka's torso and legs, one Atlas arm, and then I think that's a Pythagoras arm on the side. And it's funny because as they're put together, Edison's like, wow, how do we look? And Atlas goes, we look freaky. And Shaka goes, you guys really like my proportions because this body's mostly me. So together, they are put back together again. And they are, I guess they just live on this floating island now. According to Shaka and Edison's conversation, Edison set it to roaming cloud mode. So it's like the Sky Islands of Weatheria and Skypia, where the island kind of just goes about its business. It's never going to rain, because it's an island cloud, but it's going to just travel the world. Speaking of traveling the world, they contact Weatheria, or Weatheria, however you want to pronounce it, and Herodis, who is very shocked to find out these guys are alive, but that's a really cool callback to Nami's time spent. We know that Herodis is a weather scientist. We know he and the others understand Sky Islands. So what better place for the Vegapunks to sync up with than an island that already exists? I'd like to say, as far as locations go, this chapter's flowing very nicely. We start on a ship outside of Egghead, and we move on to Egghead Island itself, then we move to the sky above Egghead, and now we move to a very high up place, Marijois, where the celestial dragons are whining and complaining because instead of getting steak today for dinner, they only got fish today for dinner because we're out of steak. We're out of insert food item here. Something a celestial dragon has never heard before, mind you. He got so mad he shot his chef. I'm not the richest dude in the world. I'm not destitute. Obviously, you can tell I spend a lot of money on junk and card games, but I'm not exactly a wealthy man, but it baffles me how out of touch the celestial dragons are that they think the solution to not having steak is shooting the guy who cooks the steak. Like, what's that gonna do? Are you gonna eat him? Is that your plan now? You know what? That might actually end up being their plan, because we see a bunch of celestial dragons panicking about the lack of food. Which, I gotta admit, Ivankov, that was a brilliant plan. Just wipe out their food supply. Don't do literally anything else. There's no need to disarm them, because the best they know how to do is shoot a pistol. And that pistol, the only reason their pistol shots connect is because everyone's too afraid to move out of the way. So the celestial dragons don't even have to learn how to aim. So you don't need to disarm them. There's no need to ruin their education because they're all not that bright to begin with. Look at Charlos. And then, there's really, what is it? Weather? Weather doesn't affect them. They're above the clouds. So, yeah, starve them. I would not be shocked if they did resort to finding the fattest celestial dragon and telling him, well, Jabba, I think it's time for you to fulfill your civic duty. But as the celestial dragons outside Pangea Castle panic, within its walls, a completely different reason to panic happens. As the four elders who are not Saint Saturn sit in the room of authority together, they get an unexpected guest. Figurland Garling. And as Garling approaches them, they ask, why are you here? Which is a very logical question when you are in the room of authority and no one's supposed to bother you without your permission. And he tells them he is here on new orders. And the four of them are like, whoa, new orders? From who? Because we're the highest authority in the world. Who gave you orders to come see us? And Figurland Garling tells them there's been a change in management. From this day forth, Vegapunk York is my subordinate, as I am the new godhead of science and defense. Between you and me, I didn't know the five elders could be swapped out. Heck, this chapter we just got confirmation that they are over 200 years old, at least Saturn is. But apparently they can be swapped out. And the swap out process is not fun. Saturn is enveloped in a black fog. The other the vice admirals surrounding him panic as they see this inky ooze forge out of him into him. It's kind of hard to tell, but whatever's happening, Saturn is shriveling and dying right in front of them, and he calls out in his mental state. He does not say this out loud because maybe he dare not speak the name, but he thinks in his head, Lord Emu, please forgive me. And Emu says, Saturn, why did you let Joy Boy escape? Not Straw Hat Luffy. Why did you let Joy Boy escape? And he goes, I didn't understand the power of the Nika fruit. I didn't know his abilities were going to be that strange. And he said, why was that Iron Giant there, Saturn? And he's like, I really did. I mean, to be fair, Saturn, you said you'd take responsibility. Well, responsibility's coming. And as the pain and suffering from Saturn comes together, culminates, the shadows envelop him, all that is left is his skeleton. The emu giveth, and the emu taketh away, so they say. So what can be pulled from that information? That's the question on my mind. Confirmation. The elders can potentially be over 200 years old. Some of them might actually have been there since day one. My guess is this rotation has happened before, but the elders are not aware of the painful process of the rotation. My guess is Saturn was the oldest of the five elders, considering the other four don't seem to understand what's happening, that Garling is taking over. Maybe Warcury's older, but I really do want to put my bet on Saturn. But this all pretty much confirms that their five powers are not Devil Fruit based, which means they probably don't have man-beast forms, so no, well, no, that's not true. We did see Venus in a half, human, well, he was in a centaur form. Was that his man-beast form of a zone fruit, or was that just an ability granted by Emu? My guess is Emu, whichever way you want to pronounce it, granted them these powers through a devil fruit of his own. I'm still putting my bet on the Nightmare fruit because Luffy is, the power of dreams and believing, and the power of nightmares seems like a really good, antithesis to that, especially since Blackbeard already has darkness because Luffy is the light, Luffy is dawn. So it just seems like a good fit. But that's it. Saturn's gone. And Garling's taking his place. I do have here in my notes, I forgot to mention this, back with the Vegapunks all together again. There's no sign of Stella's mind. Which I find very interesting, because if they're all synced with Punk Records, shouldn't Vegapunk Stella also be a part of the brain? Shouldn't he also be a part of this amalgamed body? When he got injured, they did make a run for the organ room where they could get him like a new liver or something. So it's obvious that Vegapunk can repair himself, even biologically. So maybe the body that is on the ship of the giants isn't actually dead. Whatever the reason, though, I just wanted to bring that up. I wanted to make sure that I brought a finger to that point. The final part of this chapter brings us back to the Revolutionary Army. I know, we were doing so well with the whole, nice flow of the chapter, and then we just kind of jumped to part of the New World. Not the point, though. We are at the base of the Revolutionary Army, where they're talking about everything they learned from Vegapunk's speech, and how it makes sense that the world's going to sink, and that's why the Celestial Dragons live on top of the Red Line, and that's when Ivankov brings up a great point. Ivankov's really good at bringing up great points. I mean, he was the one that talked about the devil fruits, devil fruits. He was the one that talked about the op fruit when Eames' name was brought up. He's the one that brought up starving the Celestial Dragons, which was a great idea. He's also the one that brings up Tequila Wolf. You know, the bridge to nowhere. And how for the last 700 years, just a little after the Void Century, this giant bridge was being built. Slave after slave, decade after decade, century after century. But it doesn't stop there. These aren't the only places where slaves are being used to build things. There is also Vodka Wolf, there's Rum Wolf, and there's Bourbon Wolf. Personally, I like the idea of Rum Wolf. I'm a big rum drinker when I do drink. What's interesting is Ivankov uses the term mega structures, not mega bridges. So Tequila Wolf is a bridge. We know that. We saw Robin on it. But Rum Wolf might be a tower. Vodka Wolf might be like a tunnel. Bourbon Wolf might just be a scaffolding somewhere in the middle of the world, just going up and not being structurally sound like a tower should be. But whatever the reason, these mega structures were built, probably from the Celestial Dragons 700 years ago, panicking about the sinking world. And because the order was given, and Celestial Dragons are not to be disobeyed, they kind of just kept going even after the Celestial Dragons forgot why they were building it. I'm sure it'll all make sense in the great Joy Boy flashback that will happen. And it will be a 100-chapter arc in itself where we will be in the Joy Boy flashback for so long we forget about One Piece. And it'll just be the adventures of Joy Boy. And then when it ends, we'll be like, oh my gosh, One Piece. That's a great name for a manga. And then we'll finish One Piece for real. But whatever happens, it's going to be dangerous. And Dragon knows this. He doesn't seem angry at Vegapunk for giving this message. In fact, he seems grateful because now the world knows the truth. The only thing Dragon's concerned with is the Revolutionary Army needs to move now. Because starting today, the world is going to be fighting for safe ground. There's not a lot of places in the world left as far as water level goes. If the sea levels rise another 50 meters, we'll lose most islands. Unless Iceberg succeeds, in that case, Water 7 and Thriller Bark are going to be the only islands that exist, because they're just boats instead of islands. Aside from finding out that the Vegapunks did in fact survive, and they are, together in one amalgamated body, my guess is eventually they'll put their own parts together and rebuild themselves. They are the smartest minds in the world put together. Aside from what happened to the satellites, this chapter was nothing but new questions. And as much as I love new questions, I really wanted some old questions solved. But you know what? I'm being very greedy. We got so many questions answered this arc. Egghead has been absolutely wonderful. I've been enjoying it, and now that it's coming to a close, we all have Elbaf to look forward to. I would say we'll probably get 2 more chapters at sea giving us an update on the world around us, and then we'll finally reach the long-awaited land, over 1,000 chapters in the waiting. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.